Hello, and welcome to A Lady Well Traveled. I'm your host and creator, Shannon Bednarova, and I'm delighted that you've joined me today for the podcast. If this is your first time tuning in, this podcast focuses on helping people like you who want to explore the world, transform their travel through savvy travel tips, common sense travel advice, and giving you the best destinations to visit with a sense of humor and wonder. Now, I've been traveling a lot recently, and I just finished 2 lengthy trips to Peru and the Galapagos, and another trip to Southern Africa on Rovos Rail. And I've spent way too much time in airport business lounges lately. And as a result, I've got to get on my editorial high horse and tell you a few things that I have to get off my chest. I simply don't recognize airport business lounges anymore. They used to be peaceful and elegant havens that were removed from the hustle and bustle of the main airport, away from the TGI Fridays, the Auntie Anne's pretzels, and the Brookstones, all the wired up, sugar-crazed kids and their exhausted parents, the beep, beep, beep of the transport carts for the disabled and the elderly, the never-ending gate change and boarding announcements. Once upon a time, these lounges were a place to conduct business, check emails, make important phone calls, have meetings. The bonus was that you could also have a cocktail or a glass of wine. You could also get something to eat before a flight, take a shower, and even have a moment of peace in your otherwise very rushed and hectic business day. These lounges were typically pretty calm environments that had plenty of space and working room that you could enjoy and use to be productive. The lounge staff would keep you informed about the status of your flight and remind you when it was time to board. Some lounges even provided private boarding entrances for international flights so that you didn't have to wait in line. Those were some of the perks of traveling for business and having to be on a plane on a weekly basis. And I, for one, enjoyed those perks. Nowadays, the lounges really, with very few exceptions, and for domestic as well as international flights, are horribly overcrowded. They're noisy, and they just deliver poor service. So why is that? First of all, I know all of these people that are crammed into these lounges today did not buy a business class or a first class ticket. I also know that they're not business frequent flyers. So why are they all there? Because sometimes you go into the lounges and they're so crowded, there's nowhere to sit. There's nowhere to park. There's nowhere to work. And amid the hundreds and hundreds of seats, they're all full. So let's get into why that happens. Well, one of the things that I've noticed is that lots and lots of these seats are full of children, teenagers, and even babies, and they're not traveling for business. So why are they in a business lounge? It's a good question, isn't it? But they're taking up every available seat and spare inch of the business lounge. They're all over the floors. They're playing video games. They're sleeping. They're misbehaving and often running all over the place. Now, these kids are in the company of parents who bring them into the lounge, and often that's because they've purchased a credit card that gives them lounge benefits. Maybe their parents are business travelers and they have frequent flyer miles, or they travel a lot for business and have lounge access. I certainly understand that. I noticed that these lounges have become full of children. So I asked several of the lounge employees if they wouldn't mind talking to me about this as long as I kept their identities private. And boy, were they ready to talk. And here's what they told me. Now, the lounges, as I said before, were havens of quiet, places that you could get work done, and they were pretty exclusive places. You didn't have kids all over the place. But this all changed when airlines started offering credit cards. And they offered these credit cards with lounge access. And people started getting these credit cards and paying a fee so that they would have lounge access. And at that time, that's when the lounges started becoming way overcrowded. And these employees told me that obviously all these folks are not purchasing first or business class tickets, but what they do is they'll purchase day passes to the lounge or use their credit card benefit, and that gives them lounge access. Then when they're traveling by air, they bring their whole family, and that can be 10 people, into the lounge, and they come into the lounge and they'll spend hours, if not the whole day, in the lounge, eating, drinking, and using all the facilities and taking up space that the business travelers like myself used to use to get work done. They do this certainly to save money by not buying airport food. They bring their entire family into the lounge to eat and drink for free. And I'm using air quotes for free because, gee whiz, they pay that extra $100 or $200 for that credit card. Now, I understand. Everybody wants to save money. I got that. Airport food can be ridiculously expensive. However, the business lounge is really not the place to have all your kids running around. It's just not appropriate. Another thing that just really gets my goat is a lot of these parents and kids roll up into this business lounge and they're in pajamas, dirty clothes, t-shirts. Their hair hasn't been brushed. They're wearing gym shorts and everything but professional attire that's befitting a professional business lounge. And again, I just don't understand that. I don't understand why the airlines are not enforcing any kind of a professional dress code. The quality has just gone down so much in these airport lounges. I just don't know why they're doing this and why they're allowing it. It seems to me that it's really become a Chuck E. Cheese for flyers with an all-you-can-eat buffet with endless cookies for the kids, alcohol for the adults, and plenty of spaces for the young ones to run around and ride on their rollerboard luggage and trip over everybody and their belongings because, gee, everyone finds your kids adorable, don't they? And now, I'm not saying that I don't like kids. That's not what I'm talking about here. Kids behave like kids. And that's great when they're on a playground or in their own backyard, but not in a business lounge when business people are trying to conduct business. It rubs me the wrong way when I spend my hard-earned money on a first or business class ticket, and I expect to have the perk of a productive working layover in a nice lounge, and I want to have some peace and quiet, only to find the lounge full of kids, teenagers, and parents shoveling food and drink into their pie hole as fast as they can and taking up all the available seating and working space so that they can sleep or play video games, and then I have no place to work, nor do the other business travelers. So I'm going to have to make the decision, does it even pay for me to access a lounge, or should I even bother anymore? I probably would have a better experience finding a nicer restaurant in the airport, one that has an electrical outlet that allows me to plug in my laptop and go and sit in that restaurant. Even if I had to pay for a meal, I probably wouldn't have to put up with the kids running around and misbehaving. The employees that I spoke with said that they don't see this changing because the airlines are making so much money on the credit cards that they really don't care if they feed people and if they give them free drinks, because they're making money hand over fist. And when I wrote this for the first time in the first draft, I was sitting in the Miami International Airport in the American Airlines Business Lounge. And when I did, there were no less than 13 children and teenagers that walked by, either with or without their parents. And then it was just like 5 more came in, and it was just mind-boggling that this was happening. Now, since I first wrote this, I've done more research because I was like, maybe I'm just not being fair, or maybe I just don't know what the deal is. Maybe there are a lot more elite lounges that I'm just not a part of, or I don't pay for, or maybe I just don't fly enough to have access to those lounges. But I found that no lounge anywhere offers an adults only, no children, business travelers only experience. Now, you can find lounges that offer ridiculous levels of service with spa treatment, haute cuisine, sleeping quarters, everything you can imagine. But all of them now seem to accept children. Now, some offer quiet zones, which encourage only hush talking, no loud conversations, and seem more amenable to business. And alternatively, there are lounges which have family-friendly zones, which are separate areas that are enclosed and set up for children. And they have toys and books for kids and games, TVs with kids shows on them. And I think that should be really encouraged in these lounges. This keeps the kids in an area where the parents can watch them and the kids can be entertained, and that's a great thing. I think that should be really encouraged and enforced with all airport lounges. Now, I know you think that your kids are wonderful, and I'm sure that they are. But when I have my laptop jerked off the table because some little kid is running around and trips over the electrical cord that I have plugged into the wall, that doesn't make me too happy. Also, I've seen a young lady practicing her ballerina leaps and then falling into a table of food. And unfortunately, in neither of these cases were the parents anywhere to be found. I shouldn't have to babysit your kids in these business lounges, and neither should the airport staff. I don't think that's right. I've also witnessed kids putting their hands all over the food on the buffet and not taking any of it. I think that's gross and absolutely ridiculous. Again, I ask, where are the parents? Where are the people who are supposed to be watching these children? Your guess is as good as mine. And I think that's something that needs to be looked at by the airlines and the airport staff in the airport lounges. But the staff that I have interviewed have told me horror stories about some of the children that they've encountered and their parents. And if they bring it up, the behavior of the children with the parents go off, they file complaints with the airlines, and it's just ridiculous. Now, to be fair, does that apply to all the children and all the parents that use the business lounges? Absolutely not. And sadly, of course, with all things, the bad apples spoil it for everyone. Some parents are extremely respectful, as are their children, and you barely know they're in the lounge. They're very polite. Their parent keep them occupied. They watch over them. And I want to issue a personal thank you to all of those parents, because as a business traveler, I greatly, greatly appreciate that and respect you, because you obviously take your job as a parent very seriously, and you don't feel like it's everyone else's job to parent your kids. And thank you. I really don't know what the solution is, because the airlines feel like they're making so much money with giving access to basically everyone that wants access to a lounge. Perhaps they just need to divide the lounges up into family side and business side, so that the business travelers can actually get some work done without having kids running around and jumping all over top of them and having it be such a noisy environment. And I don't know if the airlines ever listened to this or not. The Staff seems to tell me that they don't and they don't care. But I hope someone will listen, because I think this is a big issue and it's something that I am going to be looking at very closely as I continue to travel more and more and decide whether or not I think it's even worth going to an airline lounge, or whether I want to do something alternatively and spend my money elsewhere. So let me know what you think about this topic. I'd love to hear from you. You can reach me at Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com. That's Shannon at aladywelltraveled.com. I'd love to hear from you. What do you experience when you travel, if you travel a lot? Do you see this in business lounges? Are you seeing it internationally? I will say that I see it less frequently in Europe, but I do see it's even worse in Latin America and South America. And it's something that I've noticed in the United States is pretty bad across the board. So I'd love to hear from you. Let me know what you think. And as always, please refer the podcast to your friends, your family, and anybody else that you think would enjoy it. And just remember that God loves you, and there's this big, beautiful world that He created just for you, and all you need to do is get out there and see it. And so until we talk again, bye-bye.